You've spent your whole life building walls, convinced they keep you safe, yet each wall only traps you deeper within your own hidden pain. Isn't it strange how fiercely we defend ourselves from others, yet remain utterly vulnerable to our own inner critic? The irony is piercing. Every shield you forged to protect your heart has quietly transformed into a weapon turned inward. Consider this. Why does a single careless remark from someone who barely knows you possess the power to haunt your quiet moments months, even years, after the words have faded into silence? How can something so fleeting carry such weight over your sense of self-worth? The truth is uncomfortable yet clear. When you depend on others to validate who you are, you inevitably surrender control of your inner peace. The more you attempt to prove your worth externally, the more invisible you become to yourself. Your worth was never theirs to define, yet you've handed over the keys, willingly imprisoned by opinions that were never truly yours to begin with. Ask yourself right now, honestly and without reservation, who would you be if the judgments of others no longer dictated your emotional landscape? What would remain of your self-image if you stopped molding yourself into a shape that fits their expectations? Perhaps the fear isn't that others won't accept who you are, but that you don't truly know who you would be without their validation. Picture your inner world as a mirror, constantly reflecting back all the insecurities you refuse to acknowledge. Each hurtful comment, each rejection, it's never about the external event itself, but rather about what it triggers deep inside you. The pain doesn't originate from the outside. It merely echoes wounds already hidden within, and those wounds demand to be seen. So here's a confronting truth. The walls you've built have never protected you. They've only distanced you from your true self, muffling your authentic voice beneath layers of silence and fear. But what if, instead of barricading yourself, you faced the reflections head-on? What if the answer wasn't thicker walls, but deeper courage? A willingness to sit quietly with your wounds, without judgment or defense. Who might you become if you stopped running from the very truths that have the power to set you free? Because here lies the transformative paradox. The moment you stop fighting to be seen by others, you finally begin to see yourself clearly, perhaps for the very first time. We often tell ourselves it's the world outside causing our pain, other people's words, their judgments, rejections, the misunderstandings we can't control. But let's pause for a moment and consider something deeply unsettling yet powerfully liberating. What if the pain you feel from others isn't truly caused by them at all? What if instead they're merely touching hidden wounds inside you? Wounds you've been quietly avoiding, wounds you pretend don't exist. Carl Jung once explored a fascinating yet uncomfortable truth, that we each carry a shadow within ourselves, a hidden, unconscious part that holds all our rejected fragments, suppressed fears, unresolved shame, and deep-seated insecurities. Imagine this shadow as a locked room deep within your psyche, filled with things you've buried, dismissed, or refused to acknowledge. Each time someone hurts or rejects you, it's as if they're knocking directly at this locked door, waking those forgotten memories and wounds that you've desperately tried to forget. Think about a mirror shattered on the floor. Each shard reflects a distorted yet hauntingly familiar image of you. Not the polished version you show the world, but the vulnerable self you never reveal. The parts of you that are tender, raw, uncertain. Every critical remark, every moment of rejection, every disappointment you experience outside is just like those sharp, scattered pieces of glass, reflecting back an uncomfortable truth about yourself that you'd rather not face. But here's the thing. Each shard holds valuable information. Each painful reflection offers a chance to understand yourself better, to reclaim lost parts of who you truly are. Because the hurt isn't really coming from others' words. It emerges from the deep inner belief that perhaps they're right, that perhaps you truly aren't good enough, deserving enough, lovable enough. And that's precisely why their words sting so intensely. Because deep down, a part of you believes them. Pause now and ask yourself honestly, What uncomfortable truth about yourself are you desperately avoiding by placing the blame elsewhere? Are you perhaps using others as a distraction to escape from confronting the most vulnerable parts of yourself? Because it's easier, isn't it, to say the pain is caused by someone else's rejection rather than facing your own deep-seated belief that you might actually deserve to be rejected? Consider this carefully. Who would you become if you stopped using the actions or words of others as a reason to avoid your inner wounds? What would change if you looked directly into those fragmented reflections and saw yourself as you truly are? Wounds, shadows, and all. Shadow work, as Carl Jung described, isn't about dwelling in darkness or indulging in self-pity. It's a courageous journey inward, a sincere willingness to confront and understand all that you've hidden from yourself. It means acknowledging that the hurt you feel is often just a signal. Your shadow demanding to be seen, accepted, healed. And healing doesn't come from building stronger walls or thicker skin. It emerges from conscious awareness, honest acknowledgement, and genuine acceptance of those hidden parts of yourself. It's about understanding that the more you deny or suppress your inner pain, the more power you inadvertently grant it. Picture yourself standing before a locked door deep within your own mind. Behind it are those rejected fragments, the shame you hide, the inadequacies you refuse to confront, the fears you won't admit. When others hurt you, it's as if they shake the handle of this door, rattling the hinges, bringing those buried feelings to the surface. Your instinct might be to reinforce that door, to lock it tighter, pile furniture against it, pretend it doesn't exist. But have you considered the strength that could come from opening it, from stepping bravely into the shadows and acknowledging what's there? Think of those who've wounded you most deeply. Were their words truly powerful enough on their own to damage your sense of self-worth? Or did they simply expose vulnerabilities that were already present, waiting for recognition? Did they create the pain or merely reflect it back to you like a mirror inevitably does? By seeing others as mirrors rather than enemies, you reclaim your power. You no longer become trapped in endless battles against their judgments or criticisms. Instead, you turn inward and face the root cause, the hidden self-beliefs fueling your pain. The moment you shift from blaming outwardly to seeing inwardly is the moment your healing begins. So now, I ask you directly, what wounds are you carrying inside that you've been avoiding? What hidden fears and unspoken truths about yourself are you refusing to see, letting the outside world trigger them over and over again? Isn't it time to stop running? Because here's the liberating yet daunting truth. You cannot heal a wound you refuse to acknowledge. Your shadow, though dark, also carries immense wisdom, waiting patiently for your attention. Each fragment of hurt holds the potential for profound insight, deeper understanding, and ultimately, transformation. Who might you become if you embrace those fragmented reflections of yourself rather than hiding from them? What kind of strength could you unlock if you genuinely confronted those hidden truths? If you finally allowed yourself to feel, accept, and integrate every painful piece of your inner puzzle? Remember, no amount of external validation or protection can truly soothe wounds originating deep within. Only when you courageously look into the reflections cast by others, acknowledging and integrating your shadows, will you truly be able to reclaim your inner peace, your true authenticity, your undeniable strength. In the end, the most challenging yet profoundly rewarding journey isn't outward, it's inward. The wounds others seem to inflict are often just invitations, powerful calls from within, urging you toward deeper self-discovery, toward healing your shadow. Are you ready to stop avoiding your pain and start understanding it? What would it truly mean for your life if you no longer allowed others to control how deeply you understand yourself? What if the pain you've spent your entire life avoiding isn't actually the enemy you imagined, but instead a silent messenger desperately trying to deliver the truths you've always refused to hear. We often believe emotional freedom means finding ways to never feel hurt again, but maybe we've misunderstood the real essence of liberation. Perhaps the suffering we so diligently escape is precisely the guide we've been longing for, holding the keys to our deepest truths. Consider this clearly. The hurt you feel isn't random. It isn't meaningless cruelty from the outside world. It's a whisper, sometimes a scream, coming from within, asking you to look closely at what you've buried beneath layers of distraction and avoidance. Every ache, every pang of sadness or rejection is a quiet invitation into self-awareness, a chance to uncover what you've been unconsciously hiding from yourself. And the more deeply you ignore this invitation, the more powerfully your wounds will persist, chasing you until you finally stop and pay attention. Here's a stark, uncomfortable truth. The only genuine control you have in this life isn't in shaping circumstances or molding others' perceptions. True control lies solely in your willingness to clearly, bravely see yourself. Every other type of control you chase is nothing more than a fleeting illusion, a distraction from the raw honesty that waits patiently within your own heart. Ask yourself right now, when was the last time you paused in the middle of your pain and simply asked, what hidden part of myself is this moment illuminating? How often do you actually pause and witness your reactions before diving headlong into blame, avoidance, or despair? Let's explore a practice, not a complicated method, but a straightforward, potent tool of self-inquiry. Whenever pain surfaces, stop briefly and consider without judgment, am I truly responding to what's happening now, or am I merely replaying an old, unhealed memory? What hidden wound or forgotten insecurity is this moment gently yet insistently trying to reveal to me? Imagine your inner landscape as a deep, dense forest. Each tree symbolizes a moment of pain, rejection, or fear. Events that you've navigated by quickly running away, never looking back. Over time, you've become a masterful escape artist, skillfully dodging every discomfort, yet also becoming increasingly lost. Because in avoiding pain, you've inadvertently avoided yourself. You've run further and further from home, from the authentic self that waits quietly in the shadows, holding pieces of your truth. What if today, instead of fleeing from pain, you chose to step bravely toward it, to pause beneath those towering trees, and to listen carefully to their whispered secrets? What if each painful moment wasn't something to escape, but a signal leading you directly back to yourself? Consider how profoundly different life might become if, instead of resisting pain, you met it openly, sincerely, as a wise teacher, rather than an unwanted guest. Could it be that your greatest emotional breakthrough isn't found in protection or avoidance, but in curiosity and courageous acceptance? Look carefully at the wounds you've been carrying. Each wound is a hidden chapter in the story of who you truly are, waiting to be read, understood, and ultimately healed. And each moment of hurt offers you a rare chance to rewrite that story, to transform pain into deeper self-knowledge, to discover clarity hidden within confusion. Yet the willingness to see yourself clearly demands radical honesty, an honesty that's far from comfortable, but utterly necessary. It requires that you drop every comforting illusion you've built around your identity, allowing yourself to stand completely bare, fully seen, without pretense. Ask yourself bluntly, who am I beneath my attempts to control my pain? Who would I be if I no longer allowed myself to hide behind the comforting masks I've created? Because it's easy, isn't it? To keep blaming external circumstances, to continue hiding behind the excuses life generously offers. Yet beneath every reaction, beneath every surge of hurt or fear, is an uncomfortable truth you already know but have never dared fully acknowledge. The truth that the pain you feared most is actually the very thing that holds your freedom. Perhaps genuine liberation never comes from avoiding discomfort or controlling your external world, but from the sincere willingness to embrace whatever you find within. Maybe your freedom was always waiting in the moments you've most fiercely resisted. Could it be then that your pain was never your enemy at all, but your ally, your compass, patiently pointing you back to the truth you've spent your entire life seeking? Feel this clearly. You are not bound by circumstances or by others' opinions, but only by your own unwillingness to look inward, to accept what you find, and to transform it into clarity and wisdom. Your freedom lies not in escaping pain, but in finally acknowledging it, understanding it, and integrating the wisdom it offers into your very being. So ask yourself deeply, sincerely, what truths have you been hiding from, beneath layers of protective illusions? What are the hidden wounds, the painful realities you've avoided facing that keep resurfacing in subtle and not so subtle ways? And most importantly, what could your life become if, rather than hiding from pain, you allowed yourself to understand exactly what your pain is desperate to show you? True liberation never comes from rearranging the circumstances around you. It's born the moment you finally choose to face every hidden truth you've spent your life avoiding. Imagine yourself standing completely open, no longer guarded by masks, no longer protected by armor. No defenses left, just you, confronting the raw, unfiltered reflection of who you truly are. How different would your life become if your sense of worth didn't hinge upon someone else's approval? If the judgments, praise, or criticisms from the outside world no longer held the power to define your identity? Perhaps the idea is unsettling at first, but beneath that unease lies a freedom so profound it changes everything. Think of your inner world as a room you've kept locked, hidden away, afraid of what you might find inside. Every criticism, every rejection, every emotional wound has been quietly stored here, shaping your perceptions and silently guiding your choices. Yet, the moment you open that door, the moment you courageously step into the shadows within, you reclaim control of your story. When there's nothing left hidden inside you, no secrets, no wounds suppressed beneath layers of denial, nothing outside can ever truly hurt you again. Because pain feeds off hidden insecurities, off unresolved truths. Without secrets to protect, your vulnerabilities lose their power over you. Who would you be if external validation lost its meaning entirely? If you allowed yourself to exist exactly as you are, free from the chains of approval or rejection, could you finally meet yourself honestly for the very first time? Ask yourself this directly and honestly. Are you prepared to embrace your authentic self, unfiltered by others' eyes, uncompromising in its truth? When you let go of the armor, when you stop relying on external mirrors, what remains at your core? You might find, in that courageous moment of self-discovery, a clarity that feels unfamiliar yet deeply right. You might realize your true strength has always resided precisely in your willingness to look inward, to understand yourself completely, without judgment or fear. Freedom isn't about changing the outer world, it's about clearly seeing and deeply understanding the inner world you've long overlooked. The question is no longer how others perceive you, but how honestly you are willing to perceive yourself. So, what hidden truth about yourself are you finally ready to acknowledge today? If these words resonated with you, I invite you to share in the comments the truth you're prepared to face. Your insight could become the inspiration someone else needs to begin their journey inward. If you're committed to continuing this profound exploration, consider subscribing as a pledge to your own authentic transformation.